Hi, I'm Father Joe. I've got a great story. Usually I start off with a joke, but apparently I'm not this week. Let's see what we've got for questions. We've got two this week. First, dear Father Joe, I am troubled by a recent discovery. I saw in the news that a burial box, they called it an ossuary, was found that says Jesus had brothers and sisters. What is this? Well, I've gotten a good amount of questions on this topic, and let's go through what we know and what we don't know. Here's a disclaimer, by the way, I'm not an expert in this area. Okay? So what do we know? Here's what we know. First of all, that in Silwan on the West Bank, right outside of Jerusalem, a limestone ossuary was found which contained an inscription in Aramaic. An anonymous Israeli collector purchased it in 1987, and then recently it was brought out to the public. Here's what the inscription said in Aramaic. James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus. So what's the big deal? Well, for Catholics, the big deal seems to be the line, brother of Jesus. Some are using this to say that Mary, the mother of God, had other children besides Jesus, which of course is something the church has always rejected as an idea. One guiding principle we want to have in all these discussions, and actually John Paul II gave this to us, is that we can never be afraid to grow in knowledge, that science can offer us new things that have always been true, but that we didn't know before. So what we never want to do is come across, in a sense, as anti-intellectual. Now, my limited time only allows me some answer here, and this is what I've got. It seems that in Jesus' time and in Jesus' culture, the word brother meant a lot of things. You'll even see that in the Pentateuch, that Lot, who we know biologically is Abram's nephew, is referred to as his brother, particularly as he got older. The word for brother, the word for cousin, are all kind of linked together. So when they say James, the brother of Jesus, they're not necessarily suggesting that Mary had other children besides Jesus. We know she didn't. Our faith has told us that. Our sacred tradition has informed us of that for 2,000 years. That's what I've got for right now. Let's take a look at our second question. Dear Father Joe, some Protestant friends tell me that it's the devil's fault that I'm in poverty. And the opposite is that God will bless you with money if you live right. Is that true? Well, at the beginning I didn't get to tell you a joke, so I'm going to tell it now. Great story about a priest who was standing there greeting people after Mass when a little girl came up and gave him a quarter. And he said, well, what is this? She said, well, I want to give this to you. Well, the priest was touched by her generosity and said, well, thank you, honey. Now, just out of curiosity, why did you give me this quarter? And she said, well, my dad said that you're the poorest preacher he's ever heard. Anyway, all right, the question basically is about the connection between the devil and poverty. There are times when living in poverty is the result of the devil. For example, if we're wasteful with our money, if we gamble it all away, if we lose it because of our own sinfulness, then yeah, you can put it there. Sometimes evil is the root cause of poverty, not for the person living in poverty. For example, greed and mismanagement in our healthcare system can lead to extreme poverty. That's not the fault of the patient, that's the fault of the system. Also, I think all of us can remember the different corporations where very wealthy men, in an attempt to add more zeros to an already healthy income, basically stole money from people. That is evil. There are times when the wealthy forget, I think, how important it is to care for our poor brothers and sisters. A priest friend of mine and I, we were watching TV, I'll never forget, and they were doing the show about beautiful homes that different people had built when they get to the home of one very socially conscious Hollywood star. I'll never forget this. They showed this big, beautiful house, and in the middle of it, they showed two rooms that were built solely for the purpose, get this, of wrapping presents. This was the present wrapping room, and they were extravagant and beautiful. And I'll never forget, the priest with me, Father Jeff, he said, Joe, they're going to have to stand in front of God and explain that. And that blew me away. That's a powerful idea that we all have to keep in our head, that we were given the gifts to make money, we were given the ability to do these things, and a part of that is a call in the name of Jesus to help our less fortunate brothers and sisters. This part of this message, I guess, is to be a wake-up call for us. We can help those in poverty, not just by giving of our extra money, but of our time. Think of how often we equate time with money. We even say time is money. We talk about saving time, investing time. We are called to help the poor in numerous ways, with our time, with our prayers. We can support candidates for political office who fight evil in our society. We can support those candidates who protect and don't promote evil. We can be involved politically in support of those who have no voice. Jesus is calling us to care for all of those around us. We have to answer that call. Enjoy another day in God's presence.